Hello, me mateys. This here be Board Games with Rob. All right, I can't carry that on very long, but welcome back, friends and fellow board gamers. I am going to be going over a game that is very near and dear to me, and that is because I've explained this a number of times on my channel. I'm very blessed. I live in the Kansas City area, and here in the Kansas City area, we have a lot of board game shops. We have several cons, and we have a lot of local designers. We have a local design group that meets regularly. And when I started, I have a weekly meetup myself here in Olathe, which is a suburb of Kansas City. And when I announced that, I had several that would show up, from time to time, and one being Dustin Dade. And over time, he introduced himself as a local designer and then eventually introduced me to a game of his that has artwork by Shannon Potratz. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's a pirate game. And when he brought it to my attention and we played it in the group, I was really impressed with it. I don't play a lot of pirate games. Intrinsically, they introduce take that mechanisms, and if I'm in the mood for it and I know what I'm getting into, typically with a pirate game you will, then it's all right. I play, what is it, Jamaica. I love playing with my kids, and again, you know what you're getting into, and not all pirate games have to be take thatty. And so when Dustin introduced this to the group, I was really impressed because it yes, it had a little bit of take that, but you didn't have to do that, and there was enough going on that you didn't have to focus just on that, and it had some clever mechanisms in there. But I'm kind of leaning into my thoughts on the game. This is an actual production copy of the game that I'm going to be reviewing with you today. So I am going to be doing a full review of this. Now, I will preface that this is self-produced. He has a laser cutter and he does a lot of the printing himself, and some of the other components he has done with the Game Crafter. But this is what he's selling. And well, we'll get into that and my thoughts on it. Let's go down to, at the end of the video, let's go down to the table. Let me give you an overview of how the game plays, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my thoughts on Scourge of the High Seas. All right, so this game does play, I think, 6 players, 3 to 6 players, 2 to 6 players. I've got it set up for 2 players here just to show off some of the components, but this will play more. And I've got the main board here, and there's actually a sideboard, and then 2 player boards with some, some currency here. Look at this. This is the first player token, and again, this is laser cut. Really nice quality on that. I mean, I don't see too many games that, will do something like that. But and look at all these different let me do a close up here of the ships here. I mean, that's really nice quality. And so yeah, so the game is set up here, the central board. Everybody is going to be placed around here in the middle, and you're going to be taking turns. The rounds, there's 5 rounds over the game. And again, here's a round, just the round tracker alone is really nice. And you're going to be doing a bunch of different things over the course of the game, mainly, and the game comes with some player screens, which I'm not going to be using here as I go through the game, but check out the just the player screen. And what's really neat is on the back of the player screen, it has a lot of reference material about the gameplay itself, so that's very handy. But notice everybody's going to start with 8 crew members, and there's a chance to get more. You'll get more during round 4, and then if ever this bounty hunter comes out, then you'll get another one there. So you have the ability of getting up to 10 crew members. And what you're going to be doing in private or in secret is you're going to be going and assigning these crew members to one of 2 different areas. You're going to be putting up here for movement or for attack. And those are primarily the 2 different actions you're going to be doing. And again, you're going to be assigning these, all of your crew members, behind the screen. And then once everybody has done that, then you'll reveal. Now, what you'll do is you'll look at whoever has the most crew members in movement, and whoever has the most will be the first player for that round. And then you'll go in clockwise order from that point out for that round. And every turn, every round, the first player will change. And if there's a tie, then the person closest to the first player would go first. So the movement, if you can see this, you'll notice that the movement spots have an amount of dots ranging from 1 all the way up to 4 here. And so as you add those up for each spot that you have a crew member on, you'll have your total movement that you can spend on that turn. And it is hex board movement. And what's really neat about this game is the game has, and again, you've got this really nice wooden wind direction token. And if you notice, there's 6 different spots for the wind to be blowing. You'll roll the die that you'll set it at the 1, but in between each round, you roll the die and the wind will change. And you'll simply move 1 spot in every direction, except if you're moving in the direction of the wind, you can move two spaces instead of 1 for 1 movement action. Or if you're going against the wind, then it would be 2 for 1. So half, essentially half. So to move 1 spot, it would take 2 of those actions, in other words. So you'll be taking a bunch of different actions through that movement that you have banked up. And the different things that you can do are interact with the different components on the board. Now, there are several different islands that have these crown tokens, and what's really neat with these is it has a recommended setup to deploy all these different tokens, the different types of islands. But you can randomize that, and that's what's really neat about the way he's designed this is you can take these tokens and assign them. They're not printed on the board. You can just assign these wherever you'd like. But there will be 2 merchant locations that have 2 different tokens on the board, and they have different rates here that for selling different items. There's 4 different types of goods. There's gunpowder, lumber, bananas, and rum, and you'll have different places to pick that stuff up on the board. Again, if here's your lumber island with these lumber tokens here that you'll be collecting, and the crown locations will have money. And so you're going to be going to the different islands and attacking the island. You guys are pirates, and you'll be attacking the island to get the goods that they have on the island. Now, everything is seeded with 2 of each type of good, so 2 money or 2 gunpowder, 2 rum, so on and so forth. In between each round, you will seed the board with additional items, and so that the amount of items on each island will grow over time. Another thing you can do is you can interact with the merchant ships. Now that's the green ships here, and they will be following, it might be hard to see on the board, but there's this arrow path that goes in a particular direction all throughout you kind of in a circular direction around the board, and you can attack those. Now, if you win that attack, and I will talk about attacking at the end of the game, then you'll do a blind draw from the goods bag. This is where you will draw out 3 random goods from the bag, and this has all your different goods of a bunch of different chips or tokens of all the different goods in there. You'll draw out 3 if you successfully defeat a merchant ship. However, once you defeat a merchant ship, then that's going to bring out the Royal Navy. They're going to come out and they're going to start at one of these crown locations, and they're going to go around throughout the board. And not only that, but you're going to get a bounty on you. And this is kind of a unique aspect of the game. Notice there is and so it is a 6-player game. Here's all the different colors for all the different people. Let's say that I am orange and I moved here and I attack the merchant ship. I draw my goods, and then with orange, I would have 2 bounty coins set up on me. Once the merchant ships come out, they will come out laying down, and then on the next turn, they will stand up. Once they've stood up, they're going to move 4 spaces or 4 hexes every turn in a clockwise order around the map. And if they ever hit one of the hexes that land on one of the hexes that your ship is on, then they will attack you. They're going to take all your stuff, and bad things will happen. There's not even a fight. You just automatically lose. So you don't want to end your turn up on this path for fear of getting attacked by the Navy. Now, after four Navy ships, after the fifth Navy ship has been placed, then this bounty hunter comes out. Now, what's really scary about the bounty hunter is he doesn't follow that arrow pattern. He's going to come directly after the person with the highest bounty up there. Again, there's this idea of bounty that you are going to be collecting or that's going to be accruing over the course of the game. So as I mentioned, you can interact or attack a bunch of different things. The islands, that's going to get you the goods that are on that specific island. But if you want to go after a person, and why would you want to do that? Well, over time, if they've accumulated enough bounty, if you go after them and you beat them, then you're going to take all their bounty. And money is victory points in this game. You want to have the most money. Now, one of the other actions that you can do is simply come over to the center island and then take a bury action. Now, what's really neat about, look at these treasure chests that he's got. Dustin has these, and they open up, and then what you do is you can place all of your money into that treasure chest, and now it's protected. You can consider it buried on the island, and now if you get attacked, you won't lose that money. The other thing you can do is interact with the merchant islands, and there'll always be two of them, and you can sell goods. And the rate of the goods will be on this little tracker here, anything from 4 coins down to 1, and you've got two different rates per one for each island going on. All right, so let's talk about attacking, because the attack mechanism in this game is really clever. If you're going to attack something, then you're going to take up to the amount of pirates or crew members that you've placed on the attack action, so in this case 3, and you're going to put them inside of this attack bag. And then depending upon what you're attacking, you're going to put defenders in there. So if you are attacking an island, you would take 3 of these defenders and put them into the bag. If you are attacking a Navy ship, you'd put 4 defenders, and the bounty hunter, you'd put 5. Now, you'd give the bag a good shake, and then you will take out 3 tokens. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then whoever has the most, in this case, the defenders, would win. So I would have lost this battle if I stay there. Now, what's clever is I can keep pushing my luck. Now, you're going to know how much you've seeded, and you know, of course, how much is in the bag. Now, if I keep going, now in this case, I drew another one. And so there's no way I can win. The only way to win is to definitively have more than, not a tie, but to have more than the person or the thing that you're attacking. However, if I would, let's say that I was to pull my own token, now I would have tied it up, and then I would have pressed and drawn another token. Now I would have won. However, the 2 tokens that I pulled above the 3 would go down here onto my player board into the exhausted area. Now, that's bad because at the end of the round, those exhausted people are not available to assign to either movement or to my attack. They simply then go to the ready, and then the next round I would be able to use those. Now, the way player combat works is the attacker can put as much as they want into their bag. Now, the defender can match that. So if, let's say, the attacker put in 3, they could put up to 3. However, it's going to depend upon, depending upon where they pulled the tokens from will determine what happens after the attack. If they pulled from the attack, then everything's fine. But if they had to go to the ready section, then any of those would go into the exhausted section as well. And then if the attacking player wins against them, then they would get their bounty. Now, the only other thing that I haven't talked about that's really cool in this game are the cards. Everybody's going to start off with 2 cards. And there's a really nice, and I've sleeved these cards, but there's a really nice assortment of cards that are included in this game. And again, look at the artwork. I mean, this is really nice artwork on. I mean, Shannon did a really good job on this game. And if they're not used, then you'll get whatever the dollar amount is at the top of at the top of the card, towards your, amount of, towards your victory points, at the end of the game. But this can be anything from moving or placing one less Navy ship defender into the bag. Let's say when you attack on a merchant or island, you will not trigger a Navy ship to appear. Now that's good. So there's a lot, and these are different free actions that you can play anytime during the game. Luck of the Sea. Look at that. When successfully attacking a merchant, gain one extra random supply. And that's basically it. The game lasts over 5 rounds. At the end of every round, there is a little bit of cleanup. You will restock the islands with their resources, and certain of the ships will move. And then you will take all of your tokens from the ready. You'll put your screens back up, and you will reassign and begin the next round. So let's go back up and let me give you my thoughts on Scourge of the High Seas. All right, folks, so that's an overview of the game. Now, let me give you my thoughts, and in order to do so, I need to break this into two different sections here. Let's break away the production from the gameplay, and let's first start talking about the production. I love these components. Everything from the treasure chests that open and allow you to put money in it, to the quality of the look at the crew. I mean, you've seen this during the gameplay, the production of the crew members, really nice wooden pieces, the ships, they're all fading into my green screen. But the manual, I mean, the artwork is just really nice. I mean, Shannon did a really nice job with the artwork. The manual, very well written. You can tell that, and I know Dustin put and spent a lot of time playtesting this over years. I mean, this game has been in production for 4, 5, maybe even more years. And the manual has a lot of examples. There's a lot of pictures, combat examples, turn examples. Very well written book. But look at the first player token and how intricate that is. Now, therein highlights the differences that I need to focus on here. This is a small production run. He had 2 copies. I was one of 2 people that obtained a copy, and I purchased my copy. I was not given a free copy for this review, so that's not going to taint my thoughts about the game in any way. But I want to preface, there was 2 printed, and it took him a while to do that. So I don't know what his aspirations are for long-term production or how he's going to sell a lot. I mean, he's going to spend a lot of time doing this, but it's going to I mean, he's you're not going to have you're not going to find a lot of people that, and I say people, a lot of companies that are going to be able to do something like a mass production run of something like this and be able to produce these quality tokens on here. So the quality of the components, great in most aspects. Now, my only negative comment would be on the print quality of some of the stuff. Now, like for example, the board, and I keep turning because I'm looking at the board. The artwork's great, but on the board, it's hard to see some of the detail. And on some of the printed material, I mean, you can tell that it's been printed, and therein, I mean, it's got that look of being printed and not mass produced. Like something that you would get from like a big production run type thing. I don't know how to explain that in without making it sound bad, because it's not bad. I mean, I love my copy of this game, and it's going to be something that stays in my collection. But that's really the only negative thing I would have to say about the production. I love the components; they're really nice quality components. But as far as the printed material, it lacks that finish that you'd get from a mass-produced game. The other thing I would say is on some of the components. Now, I don't know if these are all going to be put into a bag as far when you're attacking, And there's some natural wear on this, and I think that lends to the theme of the game, or the feeling of the game being this piratey, rough, type game. But some of the paint is faded, and I don't know how it will stand the test of time with drawing in and out of a bag. That might be intentional. I don't mind it. My only concern is the longevity of it inside of a bag, and the wear and tear of components. Will this stuff fade over time? I don't know. But the production, it's two-sided. I love the components. Um, my only complaint would be the print. But I don't know how you get around that and be able to keep your costs down and not farm it out to, or have I say farm, but have a mass production company do that. But overall, I love the production of the game. It's, as far as the package, it's a wonderful package, and you can barely fit everything back in there. I mean, because of all the really nice components and the thickness of all the wooden components that you've got. Now, let's talk about gameplay. Gameplay, this shines. Like I said at the onset, I'm not much of a take thatty person, but I can do enough in this game and stay away from fighting other people. Although I'll tell you what, as much as I don't like take that, when somebody has a big bounty on them and has a ton of money on there, man, I'll tell you what, I'm tempted to go after them. And I have to be wary of accumulating too much money myself, for fear of attracting other people to me. I find myself wanting to bury my stuff before I accumulate a lot. And you've only got 5 rounds. So therein lies a lot of the decision making in this game. Are you going to spend a lot of time accumulating money and thus attracting other players to want to attack you? Or are you going to be continuously going in and burying that stuff on the center island? What I like about the game is you have this bank of movement, and it's not like you have to spend all your movement and then do an action and then you're stuck, right? I can have a ton of movement and then break my actions into different things. I can go to an island and attack it, and then maybe if I can make it over, if the wind is just right, maybe I can get over and bury the money that I have, or maybe I can make it to a merchant island. And a lot of this is going to change based upon how you set your map up. Therein lies another really neat thing about this, is all the different types of islands are set by those really nice components for the island types, right? And so you can randomize that. So each game is going to play a little differently. I like that there's the whole bounty hunter thing, right? When that bounty hunter comes out and being able to go pinpoint right for you, there's this fear of that thing coming out. I like that you're going to get additional tokens during, I think it's between round 3 and 4. Or at round 4, at the beginning of round 4, you're going to get an additional crew member, as well as when that bounty hunter comes out. So you're going to be able to get that. I like the mechanism of combat being pulling out those crew members from that bag. Now, I remember having a conversation with Dustin, and how he was challenged to design a game without dice. And so his answer to that, and preventing, people from, attacking with dice, was by having this, bag building type mechanism where you can allocate more people into this bag. And I think that's clever. So improving your odds by allocating more people on that attack is clever. And I like how you can mitigate some of that randomness by being able to pull out and keep pressing your luck. And it's very thematic. You're exhausting, you're pushing forward and you're exhausting that crew. And therefore those people, if you don't make it in that 3, then in that 3 pull from the combat, then you can keep pushing, but you're going to exhaust that crew. There's a lot of clever mechanics on here, and yet it's not overly complicated. It's very simple, and it's very easy to learn this game. And I like that he's kept it down to 5 rounds. So it's not going to be a very long game, but the shortness of that meaning it only being 5 rounds, it's going to make your decisions about what you do when faced with those bounties and how you allocate your crew members important. And I like those decision making thoughts in my head between turns and having to decide what I'm going to do. All right, so what do I think about Scourge of the High Seas? Well, I rate this a very solid 8. I think that the simplicity of the rules and the theme, it being a pirate game, is going to appeal to family gamers. And then I think that the replayability and the clever mechanisms and the decision making that this game poses is going to appeal to hobby gamers as just as much, if not more. I don't have a lot of pirate games in my collection, and this is going to be a welcome treasure to it and fill a very big hole that I've got in my collection right now. So, folks, I hope that you enjoyed this. I ask that you, I'm going to have a link down below on how you can reach out to Dustin and Shannon to inquire about the game, perhaps obtain a copy for yourself. But thank you for tuning into this overview and this review of Scourge of the High Seas. Folks, I hope that you have fun gaming, and more importantly, be kind to one another. Bye bye.